Hello everyone, welcome to a new series on Tarmak Media House. This is called Right Take. And today we have as the first guest of this new series, ISRO Chairman Dr S Somanath. He needs no introduction, so let's straight away get into the questions. The questions what we have prepared today with the help of a research team, with the help of people who chase space are different. So I'm not going to ask the general questions about update on missions, which everybody knows. We have prepared a different set of questions. Welcome to this show, Dr. Somanath.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Congratulations on the recent INSAT 3D's GSLV launch. How is the satellite?
The INSAT 3DS was the third in the series of INSAT satellites, which are weather satellites. And the satellite was placed perfectly in the intended orbit by the GSLV rocket. On the 17th, the launch took place. And after that, the satellite has already raised its orbit further from the lowermost point, which was 170 kilometers, has already been raised and up to a higher orbit. And this will continue with 4 more orbit rising maneuvers until it reaches 36,000 kilometers circular. So that's the first set of maneuvers. Then it will drift to its final position in the orbit. After that, we will be testing all the payloads and releasing it for the users. The user for this is the Ministry of Earth Sciences, the Ministry of the Meteorological Department. And there are payloads on board, and all the payloads, the sounder payload, the imager payload, the data relay transponders, the distress alert terminal, all of them will be switched on. We'll conduct testing and declare the satellite operational. So that's going to happen in the next few weeks.
It's been 2 years since you took over as a chairman, right?
Yes.
What are the drastic changes you brought in to which you thought that is needed to take ISRO to the next level?
See, when I joined as a chairman of organization, there was something which was very important that need to be completed. That is announcement of the space sector reform by the government in 2020. And the reform looked at how the space sector can be opened out to non-governmental actors to come into space sector and make the whole the space activities to scale up in the private companies. And for that, many things are to be done. One is the organizational change to understand the need of the non-governmental actors and enable them to work with ISRO to create the space ecosystem outside ISRO. Then also to create the InSpace, the regulator, the promoter and handholder. And InSpace was already created, but it was not functional fully. So the functional aspect of InSpace was looked at, and all that happened. We also had to make the space policy of 2023 we released. So the drafting and releasing it was the major task, which we released finally, delineating the roles and responsibility of the Department of Space, ISRO, InSpace and NSIL, the New Space India Limited, which is a public sector undertaking. So all that happened. So the non-governmental actors started functioning with all support from ISRO in building rockets, building satellites, applications. So this was the first thing to do. But there was another big thing which I had to do, which was a cultural aspect of it.
All right.
So ISRO has been a closed society of doing space activities within the organization. But now we are opening out. It created certain uncertainties within the minds of the people, within the organization. So I had to correct it, to make them understand why the government is very particular in terms of opening up the space sector and what it means to this country. This was something, a message that need to be taken to every employee of the organization to make them understand the need of it and then go with the whole idea of the government to make it happen. So this was the major task which I undertook in going around all centers, talking to people, make them understand the need of it, convince them that it is very important for us to change. So there were a lot of apprehensions and uncertainties in their minds, which has been cleaned up now, I must tell you. The next important thing which I had to do is all those scientific missions which are waiting, including the Chandrayaan 3, the Aditya L1, the ExpoSat and many others were taken up on priority, including the Gaganyaan. And we have to push each one of them to be completed and the mission need to be accomplished on a faster track. So all of them were taken up with the rigor of what is need to be done and also with the due care and safety of what those missions need to be. I think all of this have been done and the results are in front of you to know about it.
Some people say, including in the media, over the years, ISRO has cut down the information flow that's going out. the media access, many people say, has been restricted. Not much of information is coming when they're needed. Is that a very thought about decision to ensure that nothing comes out much?
I don't think so. I think this assumption that it has been cut out, I don't know whether it is true. I get that a different perspective. I get it is we are too open now today to speak about it.
After you came?
I don't know. It's after my came. I think it doesn't matter. ISRO is actually speaking so much of information to the public domain to understand the public about the programs, the importance, the advantages, and also the benefit that you are accruing out of the work. I think it is sufficiently being given out through various media. Of course, I don't conduct press meets on every day and night.
At the drop of a hat.
I don't just do that. I do it only on launches or some missions which need to be, which are essential to be communicated. Otherwise, it comes through our website. And once you put a news or information on the website, it is taken up by the media and then published sufficiently. I think interest in ISRO is very high. I think you would have watched the Chandrayaan 3 story of the landing time. And there was never an event like this which has been so much watched in this country. And when that happened, how can you say that ISRO is not going out and telling
So
public?
that means you're saying media must now look up to the website for the news and should not approach you for the direct?
No, there is no need to approach chairman. Chairman is again another technocrat who is managing the role. And I am not the only spokesperson. I think we communicate through various means today. There are social media. I think we have a communication system through social media. And I would like to focus on the social media news, not on individualistic news.
You might be busy, but then can't we not talk to the directors?
Of course, directors are also talking wherever they need to talk. For example, they do go around, talk to children, to schools, educational institutions, scientific conferences. They do go and speak, but they are not going around and speaking as a spokesperson. As an official spokesperson for the organization is only the secretary.
So you're saying the directors are going and making presentations to schools and colleges, which is very vital to spread their sense of space among youngsters.
Yeah.
Has that increased or has it decreased?
It has actually increased substantially. We are not only telling directors to do that, we are telling everyone in the organization to do that. Because what happens is when each one of us in the organization is seen as a champion of science and technology of this country, who have accomplished some substantial outcome. And each one is being viewed by the young people, especially in villages and school, countryside. Whoever is an ISRO person is looked at with a great reverence. I think it's a great opportunity to showcase what we have done to them and show that people like us from the humble backgrounds are able to come to ISRO, work and deliver fantastic things for the country. It gives them such an inspiration. So I tell everybody in the organization, for communicating to common people, you don't need anybody's approval. So go about and do it whenever you have a spare time to do that.
All right. So my questions are not in any particular order. At times I might pick up from what you're saying. Many years back, ISRO was testing internally the spacesuits, developed here. But I understand now it's being imported from Russia. What happened?
No, nothing special has happened. The decision to import from Russia has been since we started the program. So we procured those suits as soon as they are available from Russia, because that is a backup for us. And we are developing the suit in India, and the work on that is continuing. It is a continuous process of perfecting it. We started various versions of it, but lot of work is left to be done. It is actually not the suit, the material of the suit that is important. There are so many things internal to it, which includes the temperature conditioning, the cooling system, which is distributing, accepting the perspiration, taking out of the system. Then there are oxygen supply, pressurization. There are many other control components which goes into it. So this is a part of the environmental control and life support system. It's not part of the suit. So integrating this environmental control support system to suit has been a big challenge. We were hoping that we can import that part from Russia, which didn't happen. So what we are looking at is how to integrate that now with the new suit that we are developing. So this work is continuing. We are hoping that we will be able to complete before the Gaganyaan mission. But as a contingency, as a backup, we keep the Russian suit.
But this has nothing to do with the program being rushed.
Who said that we are rushing? We are actually slowing down. We made the whole Gaganyaan program.
But the previous announcement was 2022.
I agree. Today it is not 2022. 2022 is over. That in fact we have shot the original goal. That means we are not aggressive there. The whole point for Gaganyaan program is safety first. When we undertake that mission, we would like to make sure that we don't commit any unwanted uncertainties. We don't bring in any unwanted uncertainty in the mission because human life is involved. So this point is very well taken, and we would like to complete all the development tests, qualification tests with our fullest satisfaction. Then only we are going to do the Gaganyaan mission.
Sticking on to the space dudes, in future, do you foresee, since that we are importing now, some kind of a license manufacturing here?
It may not be called for. We are very sure that we will be able to manufacture in India soon.
The next question is, has ISRO already begun the work on the EVA spacesuit development?
EVA is the next level of spacesuit. It is not like the one which you wear inside the crew module where there is already a shirt sleeve environment. It's only for contingency that we are wearing the suit. In case the cabin gets depressurized, you are safe. But when you want to get out, there are so many things need to be taken care of. It has to take care of the micrometeor impact. It has to take care of anything hitting and leaking, suddenly depressurizing. Then it must have control system to move you around for doing things. So it is much more heavier, much more rugged system to take care of uncertainties. So that will happen as a next phase. So we would like to first develop the suit that will be worn by astronauts who are sitting inside a capsule, not the when they get out of it. It will take some more time.
Another thought, that's widely believed is that people who become the ISRO chairman from the VSSC belt, have this launch bias, because of which there are less interplanetary missions.
Nothing like that. I think all of us come with a background of the entire space domain. Though everybody has a background. You do not find that the entire space technology is known to one person. I think that's not called for. So what the system looks for is a leadership to handle the whole organization. I think the chairman comes out of that merit that is needed for that position. It doesn't differentiate satellite or launch vehicle or application. I don't think so. At a given point in time, who is best suited for the job comes in. But then, of course, the person has a vision, of course. When he is from rocket side, possibly there will be some thrust given to rocket, and when he is from satellite side, thrust given to satellite. It's also not true. For example, in the times of Kasturirangan and Professor Rao, who were actually from the satellite background, the best of the thrust of the rocket happened. The GSLV development happened at that time. The PSLV development and success happened in Kasturirangan's time. I think all of that story is well known. Madhav Nair came, there was only one rocket developed, the GSLV Mar3. So if you look at the history, it's not true to say that the background of the chairman is dictating the programs that we have. So we look at the holistically, the organization, what is needed at a given point. The organization looks at it, and chairman has the ability to steer in every corner of the organization.
Did ISRO hide the presence of a nuclear RHU in the propulsion module of Chandrayaan 3?
We didn't hide, we didn't want to publicize it, that's all.
Why?
Hiding and publicizing are two different elements.
Why?
Of it. It simply means that this development happened as part of a long-term goal of developing power outcome out of nuclear isotopes. We have not reached that level. So the first step was a very low power called 1 watt type of a heater unit, which we want to test it in the flight. And we would like to see this and then gain confidence. After that we will announce. The announcement is very easy, but then making and doing it is difficult. So we'll do little lesser publicity than actually doing it. No?
What are the timelines now being followed by NGLVs?
You mean to the new rocket that we want to design?
So the new generation launch vehicle.
New generation launch vehicle is a generic name that we are given that for a future rocket. So we define certain outer periphery or boundary on which this rocket need to be developed. One of the foremost thing is that it must have certain payload capability, something like 10 tons to GTO or something like 20 tons to low Earth orbit, so that it can do some space station building capacity.
Right.
Second part is that it must be at least partially reusable so that it becomes cost effective. Third element is that it must be easy to produce in the from the industry. The fourth item is that the new engine that we are putting, propulsion we are putting, must be more green in nature. So there are many elements that we looked at it, and some sort of a standardization or commonality across various rocket parts. So I can tell you today the overall design of it has been completed. The project report, which is required for defining it, taking it forward, including financial approval, etc., is already on place, and we will be taking it to government soon.
So the funding has not come?
Funding comes only after government approval.
All right.
Yeah.
So, will this NGL be using the Methalox engine?
We think that Methalox has a future for propulsion. Methalox, you mean the fuel is methane and the oxidizer is liquid oxygen. So everybody knows today the future rocket fuel is methane. Methane is nothing but our cooking gas, which is much more purer. You know, your cooking gas contains 95% methane, but this will be almost 100% methane, and it will be compressed to form a liquid, and the liquid along with the liquid oxygen will be the fuel. So interplanetary missions requires methane because methane can be synthesized out of carbon dioxide and water.
Right.
So because of this, there is a great interest, and world over methane engines are being developed. We also started a program, and the engine development is currently going on.
What's the final configuration of NGL? Have you decided that?
I said yes.
It has been decided.
It is already decided.
And
yes.
why is it 3-stage and not 2-stage?
That is an interesting question. Many people don't understand why 3-stage, why not 2-stage. Then why can't you ask why it is not single stage?
I can. Next question will be that.
Okay. So I said a rocket is a system where the ability to put a certain amount of mass in orbit is a function of the technology that you use. And there the most important factor is the mass or the structure. If it has to be 10% should be the structure and 90% should be fuel. So if something has to achieve something like that, the technology for the material that you use to build the rocket should be so good. You know, you think of a rocket which is only 1 ton, which can carry 10-ton fuel. It is extremely difficult. So what you do is something do staging. You do it in multiple stages, so you can spend a stage which has already functioned, and next one takes over. But when you launch from Sriharikota, there is a new problem coming. The problem is called impact of spent stages.
Okay.
It goes and falls into the sea.
Okay.
So when you launch a rocket towards the east, we have a lot of landmass there. The Southeast Asian countries are there along the track. We cannot drop anything in that in their economic zones without a permission. Global operations don't allow you to do that. So we have to impact it at certain point. This demands that the first stage cannot have a velocity more than 5.5 kilometers per second. The second stage should go beyond a certain latitude where there is no landmass, and the third stage will go to orbit. It is not possible to design a rocket with 2 stages in such a constraint. So every rocket that is launched from Sriharikota with the current level of technology, I am not telling future. Future I can do 2 stage.
Okay.
But today the material technology, composite technology, manufacturing technology doesn't allow us to build a rocket with very low structural factor. That's why it is 3 stage.
Why is the Venus program delayed? And has the funding come for that?
Venus, we looked at a total program. We had a science program. We had experiments defined, a mission definition happened, and we wanted to take to the government for approval. But then approval is not forthcoming currently because the scientific goals of Venus is not well defined. So that is a comment which we have from the users. So we are reworking with the users, the scientific community, and to see that there is a sufficient value when you spend that much of money. So basically the whole issue is between the amount that you spend for a scientific mission versus the returns. So if the returns are not commensurate with the money that we spent, the project will not move. So it is at that level, and I hope that our scientific community in country will work to create more value for the Venus mission by appropriately defining better payloads, and we are on that track today.
Did the SSTM, the sea surface temperature monitor, fail on the OceanSat-3?
Yes, it had an anomaly and it is currently not functioning.
What happened?
It has hardware failure. No, what we did is that payload we have replaced in another satellite, which is a small satellite. We put it on board a small satellite launch vehicle, and currently we have a data coming out of another payload of same type. So that particular loss of data has been complemented by another set of data come from another satellite. So we have the full functionality today.
What are the science and engineering goals of BAS, Bharatiya
Antariksha
Station?
See, our goal today is to have the building of the Antariksha Station to start by 2028 and complete by 2035. And basically to have human spaceflight on a continuous basis to the station. See, it is a essential requirement for a spacefaring nation to have human spaceflight on a continuous manner. You will ask why. The scientific goals and industrial goals are very important, and also has economic goals. Let me tell a few of them. First thing you should all agree that human access to space is important, because human being cannot be replaced by even robots to even large scale. Building a space station itself requires human beings. Robot cannot do that. So developing human spaceflight capability is essential. Then if human beings go somewhere, he cannot, if you sit in a small capsule, he cannot stay there for more than 2 days because he is not able to move. So if he has to really do some useful work, he must get into a bigger volume. So as to do some physical activity like the experiment on various activities. So we need another station which has a larger volume for people to operate over long periods of time. Then only one person can go there and stay for a few months and then do some work. You must understand, for any human space flight, it's very costly. Typically, a single human mission to orbit and coming back can cost you something like 600 to 1000 crores, that much money. So in that money, if some useful work has to be done, it must be over a long period of time. So longer stay in space is essential. For that, you cannot do with a simple capsule, it has to be done with a space station. So this is the first thing. Then the question will come, what are the type of work that you want to do? So there are many things that you need to do today. The few of them which is very related to them are in material science.
Okay.
Material science means growing crystals in zero gravity. It has a very great potential in electronics industry. Fiber optics. Suppose you make fiber in zero gravity, the fiber will have 10 times capability to handle high communication signal than the one which you make in ground under zero gravity.
All right.
There are work on medicine, molecular synthesis. When molecules are synthesized, do you typically do it in what? In ground. The gravity pulls heavy molecules down. The lighter molecules float. So they don't react uniformly. When you do it in zero gravity, all of them are under zero gravity. So the reactivity, the way in which they produce further molecules growth are different in zero gravity. So this capability is used in synthesizing complex molecules in space, especially for medical synthesis. Similarly, you look at the new technology evolving called additive manufacturing of organs.
Right.
They know how to print a liver or print a heart. You would have heard about it.
Yes.
This technology has already started. How human cells can be taken to print the various elements. And if you do it in ground, it will collapse because of the gravity. If you do it in zero gravity, you can build without collapsing. The whole heart can be there without even bulging. And you can print it, secure it, then bring it back to Earth. So in the future, I believe if you have to really build human organs, it will be only in space station, nowhere else. So then there are technology related to plant breeding, the genetic engineering and medical synthesis and humans physiological related studies. There are plenty of studies that are happening in ISS today. Every day, hundreds of experiments are taking place in International Space Station, and all of them are funded by industries which are pumping in money for doing it because it has a economic benefit out of research out of it. So we hope that this space station will ultimately help in various sectors: material sector, electronic sector, biomedical sectors, and genomic research, etc., to benefit ultimately.
Chandrayaan-2 speed brake system, both up and ground. Ground means at ISRO was an issue. Something which you had even expressed during those days that, you guys are going at great speed, but nobody listened to you. And it crashed. Did ISRO step on the gas without perhaps doing things what they should ought to have done?
No, I don't think so. It's not appropriate for me to comment like that. What you think is that every time you go with certain amount of confidence. The confidence level during the Chandrayaan-2 time was sufficient enough for them to take that decision, because I was not taking the decision. I was in charge of certain activities.
But do you agree that there was some problem with the decisions?
I don't know, because it's not appropriate for me to comment about such things.
But you were also part of the system.
Of course, I was part. I was handling certain roles as the center director of the Vikrant Sarabhai Space Center. I was handling the GSLV R3, and during the launch there was a hold on the launch.
Yes.
And we repaired it and made it all right for the launch. So there are many things which I was responsible for, yes.
Now, Gaganyaan. Why is that ISRO, Indian Air Force, government, all of them collectively keeping the names of the astronauts who are supposed to go there as part of the first mission under wraps? What is so top secret about it? Because don't you think it would have been an opportunity for ISRO and the government to inspire youngsters, like it is being done in other countries, that you portray the heroes?
See, you must understand that this is the first time that we are going to have an astronaut pool. And the guys who have been selected are from the Air Force
test pilots.
Test pilots. They are special breed of people who have gone through this and then made a mark for themselves. And once they are selected, they will be in the public limelight for a long time. It's not like a regular astronaut that is coming up in US today. There are 150 of them. You don't know any of, the first of the few of the astronauts who went in US and Russia. they are like us, like that here. The moment that you announce them, they will become the story of the media.
Are
Or
you scaring media?
not, media is not scaring, but it will be the story in the media.
But that's our job to report.
I have no objection to your reporting, but they have a private life. The point is that everything that they do will be under the scanner. They need to live happily, and they have a job to do. The job is to be trained as an astronaut capable of enough to help us build the Gaganyaan. So they are going through the training outside India and within India to help us to develop the Gaganyaan. They are not going to fly the one which is already developed, you understand. So they have to concentrate on it. They are learning along with us to develop this program. And we would like to keep that identity of these people to ourselves for the time being. And it will definitely be announced sufficiently early before the flight of the Gaganyaan for everybody to know about it, to be get inspired. And after the flight, they are anyway going to be heroes. Huh?
But there are journalists who know the names.
I have no objection for you knowing about it and keeping it with you. I am very thankful to them for keeping it with them. Huh?
All right, that's interesting. So I understand you had a very important meeting with the astronauts recently. Could you share something? What was that?
See, we continuously interact with them for different purposes.
This was a review kind of thing.
Review happens, knowledge sharing happens because they are the one who understand the elements of astronaut requirement from the training of they had from Indian Air Force as well as the training they underwent at various global facilities. So they come back and tell us what is the meaning of an astronaut sitting in a flight and how you handle equipments and controls that they have. And we are the engineers designing it. And that communication is very important. So we continuously talk to them with regard to training, the infrastructure that we need to develop in India, the simulators, the softwares, the criticalities, the safety systems, and this dialogue continues. And we are also looking at them to select them ultimately for the flight in the Gaganyaan and other missions that are going to come up, like the mission to International Space Station. So we have to look at their ability to handle various complicated scenarios and also give input to us for enabling the design. So we continuously assess them. They also continuously upgrade their capability. So this dialogue is always happening.
So how many people will eventually go in the first time? 1, 2, 3, 4?
No, that we have not made any decision regarding that. Currently, the original goal of Gaganyaan was to send 3 people, and we never said that it will be the first mission. So we have the freedom to choose based on the success and ability of the crew module up to that time, safety and other issues that will crop up. A decision will be taken very high authority, very high level committee. How many people should fly in the very first flight? There should be 1 or 2 or 3, depending upon the type of confidence that we have on the mission.
All right. So considering that we have a successful Gaganyaan mission, what would be the follow-up human space program then on?
So it is very clear today that originally we had only an approval for 1 mission, 1 flight. Now after the success stories of the Chandrayaan 3, I think all of you know, government has already announced, Prime Minister has announced the continuity of Gaganyaan program, which will ultimately lead to an Indian landing on moon. So that means Gaganyaan program is going to continue with certain set of missions. And we are defining it now. What all missions we need to conduct to reach up to moon landing. The first step is that we must build a space station and we should have access to space station, which itself will be a great journey for human spaceflight program. And we are going to have unmanned missions around moon and crewed mission also circumnavigating moon and coming back, ultimately landing them. So all of this is going to happen in the next 20 years or so. Yes.
How tough customer is the Indian Air Force, considering it's the first time you're dealing with an Indian military establishment customer?
They are not customers.
Okay, they're partners.
They are partners.
So,
okay.
But knowing that Indian Air Force is putting a man, a test pilot, it's a very critical step they're taking. Since I report on Indian Air Force, how is your experience with the partner?
No, they have been very supportive. You must understand that they have given their best men to us to become an astronaut, and they themselves have chosen this as a choice in their life because they have achieved certain level within Air Force, and they are looking at higher accomplishment. So they are very ambitious people who are there. And second is aspect, they are very capable of learning things very fast and then translate into design. So they also realize this is a first time mission and it has its own challenges, threats, everything. Knowing very well they have come here. So they are now not part of Indian Air Force, they are part of ISRO today. You must understand. They are with us for the last 4 years. So they are with us, and though they have the connection to Indian Air Force, they are part of ISRO. And for anything we do with them, we consult the Air Force, and they deal with the training programs or evaluation program. They are part of it. So they don't act tough, they act as friendly. So they are helping us to design Gaganyaan, and I don't find any issue with IAF at all. They are very, very supportive.
All right. So, when you talk about IOF, it's about DRDO. They are also part of this particular program, the Mysore-based lab,
Yes.
DFRL. So, how much of work DFRL has undertaken now?
Lot of work. So there are different defense laboratories working for us. They are working for sensors which are required in human physiological sensors. They are working on parachute systems for us. They are working on space food for us. They are looking at how to take away the waste disposal solutions for us. Firefighting systems within the crew module, how they are doing it. Now, many such elements are part of the DRDO sourced developed items. And ISRO is interfacing with those laboratories for doing it. And the Food Research Laboratory at Mysore has done all the development required for the astronaut food, and they are in place now.
Did you taste them?
See, they don't taste like the one which you idli sambar, no? They are no longer that type of stuff. They are designed to be fed to an astronaut who has to survive on certain required food for a certain time. The taste is only one quality that you will refer to a food.
Right.
Food is not defined by its taste.
Right.
Food is defined by its content.
Okay.
To serve a human being, human metabolism for certain time. So it is designed for that purpose. It is not designed to enrich your tongue. Huh?
So, when they make this, how do you test it? It's by eating, right? Or?
No. What we did is, I am not an astronaut, so I am not qualified to tell it is tasty, it's nice. So we give it to astronauts, trainees who are there with us. They have gone and tasted it. They have given the feedback to the system, how they tasted it elsewhere versus how they taste here.
Oh, interesting.
So that feedback has already gone, and the food has been custom designed to suit our taste and our preferences.
So, did they like the food?
My feedback is yes. I do not know because I have not tasted it.
With the expansion in satellite utilization, in both in military and in civil sector, how is the private sector, teaming up to this challenge?
The private sector, I believe there is a great future for satellite building in India. It's not for Indian customers alone. Of course, the market in India is still developing for satellite launching because there are no private operators for satellites in India. It's only government is operating satellite. Government agencies are operating satellites. The private operations are only with respect to some of the international players who are in the communication services.
Right.
So if you have to really increase the number of satellites in India, especially in the area of remote sensing and imaging, we need some private operators for imaging satellites in India. So we are looking forward how to create such a operational system under private governance, and to provide this data for users to create a commercially viable imaging market.
Okay.
So there are a lot of private operators in the West from which we are buying images. So why not create such a private ecosystem in India? This is one thing that has to happen. So I know there are about 4 or 5 industries in India today who are capable of building satellites based on technology acquired as well as developed here. Some of them are building payloads are purchased and they are building the bus here. Some of them are trying to build the payloads here itself, including startups and established companies. Some of them, 3 of them have already launched their satellite, 3 or 4 of them built their satellites and got it launched either through ISRO's launch vehicles or outside launch vehicles. And they are looking at how to expand it, looking at the markets which are required to meet the strategic sectors, commercial sectors and other sectors in India, also sectors outside the country. So we hope this is something that is going to happen, and we are going to encourage it through InSpace.
Since we're talking about the private sector, we spoke to Pavan Chandra. He is a co-founder of Skyroot. Let's listen, Pavan.
Somanath sir is one of the greatest rocket scientists we had in our country. He has made immense contributions to various launch vehicle programs in India. And I first met Somanath sir, I think, more than a decade ago, while I was working at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center for GSLV Mark III program, for which he was the project director. I still remember during those early days, I was part of a meeting which he chaired, and I was really astonished to look how decisive he was, how clear he was, and also like his technical depth in various domains in launch vehicle area really inspired me. And I thought, like, he was my role model at ISRO, and that really inspired me to really learn everything and anything about launch vehicles. And literally those learnings during my time at ISRO became a foundation for Skyroot, where we have launched India's first privately developed rocket. And he was also like a big inspiration for our team as well. He's always encouraged us. He's always very positive, he's always very approachable. Really, I think he's real embodiment of the culture really built by Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Kalam. And I really wish he inspires more and more youngsters like me. And all the very best to you, sir, for all the future missions.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, of course, yes.
There are many who follow the space programs
Yeah.
very keenly, and of course, Pawan is inspiring. We now have one new launch port, isn't it? Isn't it there a need for more such launch ports or options? Like, for example, something like the TELS.
See, having more launch ports is very good, but then you must find a reason for them to have many. And if your current launch ports are incapable of doing certain missions, we have to develop certain launch ports. And second is, there is a risk of having one. If there is under threat due to many natural calamities or adversaries attacks, then we should create second sources for launching. Otherwise, if it gives a mission advantage, we have to build a new set of launch pads. So essentially, we have to look at what gives you the best payload, best performance, safety, etc. So Sriharikota is placed today at the right place for certain type of launches, and we are looking at for certain other type of launches, a southern tip launch will be better. And for similar launches, there could be other locations as well. So it's a question of investment versus a utility. So we have to take a decision based on that.
So the transport directed launcher will take time?
We can take it to sea and launch. We can have a sea-based launching, which will remove many of the constraints, but then investment is very high, maintenance costs are very high to keep it afloat, like a ship. It spends hundreds of crores of rupees to maintain it itself.
What's the progress of space-based surveillance program for defense, and when can we expect something like an ISRO satellite being launched?
See, these are some of the very strategic information that I don't like to speak in public.
But generally, no.
Generally, all of us know. See, satellites can do communication. Satellite can do imaging. So whatever we can do under that, we continue to support.
With Starlinks being used very effectively in in the Ukraine war, do we have any plans for such kind of satellite constellations for civil and military use?
No, if you look at Starlink, it is not a national constellation, it's a global constellation.
Right.
See, it is operated by a company who wants to do this business all across the globe, in multinational companies. And this has to give services at every country, using the appropriate business models applicable for that country. Otherwise, they will not have business. So if India tries to do a constellation, then we must have a business model for the entire world. How to give a service in the US using the satellite, how to give a service in Canada, how to give a service in Russia, China. And if you are not able to do this big landmass, this whole constellation will be of no use. So today there are no Indian origin constellations, but people are looking at it. For example, people like Geo is looking at how we can give a global constellation and provide business models, and they have to study. It is not going to be a government funded or public funded constellation. It is going to be more in the private domain, where they will have a way to do business all across the globe through appropriate business models. And if somebody is able to come out with that, then building the satellites, ISRO will be happy to launch, because launching is going to be a big challenge. Rockets cannot be that easily built, but satellites can be built in numbers.
Why did you hit out against your predecessor in your withdrawn book? Did you think that you missed a professional point there by doing so? And what happened to the book now?
I know it has already been told in public that I have not published any book. Some news came out of the so-called contents in the book, And I said, I am not writing the book and I am not publishing the book. So it is out of context to ask what is there in the book which is not yet published. Then to make point very clear, there was no intention of doing anything like that. The story about a person from a village background, how it came through difficult times to reach positions or became an engineer to become positions like this, was only depicted there. And in any such journey, there are challenges of various kinds. You go through personal challenges, you go through organizational difficulties and many others. So under that, there could be some challenges that the person feels could have been depicted. But never in our culture of ISRO that we criticize any organizational system. I think that's not in our culture. So I don't think that there were any element in that.
Was Shivan upset?
See, you must be wondering that immediately after the news came, I met him. We talked to each other and we said that there is nothing to worry about. So we had personal rapport even in that case. So it is only public speak about it. We don't.
So nothing happened. He was happy.
Oh yeah, we talk to each other. We engage each other on a regular basis.
Are you getting upset with my questions?
No. See, in any discussion, I have to tell you the fact which is there in front of. You may have a different perception, but what I am telling you, somebody getting upset is not my worry. What is there in front only I am speaking about in the public domain.
Right. Sources, in the government clearly told, we are aware of it rather, that during Chandrayaan 3 or perhaps during Aditya launch, there was some trouble.
Trouble with the what? Satellite?
Not satellite.
Huh?
You underwent some difficulties.
Me underwent some difficulties.
That did create. How do I put across? It's a very personal question. It did upset your family. It did give you perhaps some shock. If you can share, I'm not probing, but if you want.
No, something personal, I believe, that you are trying to
Yes,
ask.
something with your
So
health.
you are aware of something. Huh?
Definitely, yes. I didn't bother to ask you because, I thought...
maybe you are referring to my medical situation.
Right.
Maybe, see, during Chandrayaan 3 time, I was undergoing some observation of my body. But then it was not clear to me at that time. But later, during Aditya L1 launch day, I realized that I have a certain observation in my stomach. So on that day, I went through certain scanning and I realized that I have a cancer in my large intestine. That was on the launch day itself, I realized. Then that day itself, night, I had to do further scanning to confirm it. Then I underwent operation within few days from then. And after that, all the chemotherapy and things like that has happened. So I am back to normal now. So that troubled period is over. Now I have to, act like a cancer survivor now. So yes, it was a difficult time to know about it and also to undergo that phase, but that's over now.
When you say that's over, are you completely out of it?
I think so. The doctor said that that whole thing has been discovered at the right time. So they were in a position to remove it and also to treat it in a manner that it may not likely to recur. But of course, this is something that we need to keep track on or watch regularly through scanning, etc. So that will continue.
All right. I was in Kerala for a while and friends in media, people, others, there are strong rumors that, you might enter politics. You might, I'm not sure about contesting elections, but maybe through some other route, you might become an MP or a minister. Is it media's creation or something like that happen? Do you have interest to?
See, all of us are in the public light and people will release rumors. No, I treat it like a rumor.
It's just a rumor.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's, since this interview was programmed with different set of questions, I spoke to your wife, I spoke to your daughter, I spoke to your son, the family, and very interesting things they told me. So there are a lot of things now to summarize everything together. I understand you are a carpenter at home, you are a plumber at home, you are a good singer at home, you are a good chef at home, you iron your clothes, you wash your clothes, and you do many things. The other side of Somanath. Engineer at work at home as well?
See, I enjoy my life in different ways. While being a professional, I also am a family man. No? and I consider myself a self-sufficient person. No? No, normally, I don't need anybody to support me. I don't need a PA as much as possible. I don't need anybody at home to even cook food, if at all, if I have to live alone. So to that extent, I am self-sufficient. So in terms of whatever you said, like plumber, electrician, they are my passion. I do a lot of work with my hand ever since my childhood. Like plumbing, electrician, or repair of equipments. I think all these are my likes. I am electronics.
Stress busters?
Not stress busters, because I love that work.
All right.
So in fact, it's not because that I can't pay to somebody to come and then do the repair. The pure joy of doing it, I know that makes me do. Suppose I find a fan not working, repairing it is something which I like. And it's true in office work also. Those who in my organization know that rockets, I do treat like that. If there is a issue with a rocket, I am the very first one to look at it and then physically have a look at it. I am not like a paper engineer. I like to work on actual hardware and feel it. I have developed a love for every hardware and feel that I have to have for the object. So that keeps me in my spirits high. So I enjoy both doing my technical work as well as my homework, even all what you mentioned. Yes.
Interesting. Your daughter Malika told me that when she was a student during her school days, whenever she had some doubts in mathematics, she would come to you. So, you would take every mathematical problem to the logical end. Even, a day before her exams, she came with a thing. So, that father-daughter bonding. I know you were very close to your father. He's your superhero. So, she also told me that, you guys sit and sing songs. And when it comes to tuition, or when it comes to clearing the doubts, you present her all probabilities in mathematics. And then tell her, you don't have to become number one in the class, but you should know all the answers. So eventually you have a way out, isn't it?
See, I never gave them classes or did tuitions for them. I never taught them their regular lessons because I am not good at it. But I can only inspire them. Look at beyond the textbook or whatever you study. See, I always look at like that. I don't study the material that is there in the book. That's anyway there for you to study. But what is beyond that is something that is more fascinating, which the textbook don't tell you. To look beyond what is there in the equation. So I normally tell them the subtle meanings beyond what you actually see. That gives them a different level of thinking. That actually creates love for the whole thing. So I always try to create that only. Once you create that, you don't have to teach them anything. I learned it from my teachers who taught us mathematics, physics, etc. They never took the course properly, but they inspired us. So I have always allowed to create, for a question that is asked to me, I give them another set of questions back to them.
All right.
I never answer them in the way they want. So many a time sometimes they get upset because the right answers won't come from me. Even in my office also I do like that, because for people who are working with me, they come with a doubt or a question. I never give them straightforward answer, because that is available anyway. Because if you search properly, you can find out. Not from me. I am not designed for that, to give them answers for every doubt that they have. So I only tell them how to search for the answer and find it out yourself. So this is what I am supposed to do, I believe. So I did the same thing to my daughter.
Absolutely. Your wife, Balsala, who works in the GST department in Karnataka, she tells me that, at your home, there's a place for everything. The mug, the card holder, the newspaper, the book, the remote, everything has got a place. And in case if it moves by an inch, you get upset. Is it a perfect Somanath in action even at home, or?
I have a way of doing things, which I have built it over years on how to do things in the way I like the organizing yourself in terms of thinking, materials around me, etc. So once that I get disturbed, then naturally everybody will have their own way of doing things. So possibly those who do not follow that, like husband and wife, they have sometimes different arrangements. My wife is not good at it. She doesn't put them at the right place. So she has to search, and the searching is the most interesting part of her life. I don't like searching. If I search my hand, put my stand, it must be there. So there are different qualities of people. So it differs. Human beings differ.
Absolutely. And your wife also tells me that, you have given her absolute freedom, and, not even once that was curtailed to the point that, even you don't even know how much salary she earns. Is that freedom? You believe in freedom, isn't it? Because I have heard you speak in different places, freedom at home, freedom of thought.
No, I believe the human beings need that. See, the real love is in giving you the freedom. And once you make you free and you are no longer dependent on me, then that is the greatest love that you can give to anybody. The once you are dependent on me, then there is no love really. So make you independent of everything is the real love. So a husband's role is to make the wife really independent of everything, and I believe. So it is her choices that should prevail. It is vice versa also. It is my choices. I also expect the same thing back from her. So I have never curtailed any freedom to learn something, do something, travel, or enjoy the life in the way they want. Of course, they can decide what they want ultimately.
What are some of the ISRO future programs that will directly impact the human life or the common man?
Lot of things. The common man means the Indians.
Aam Aadmi. Indians.
So it's okay. Very simple to say Aam Aadmi. So we look at from the nation perspective. See, the nation requires space technology more than ever because of various reasons. The one for example is that we work with a lot of departments, governments, institutions, etc., for how to bring benefit to the nation. Satellites can do communication, do remote sensing, timing services, etc. So integrating this, many departments do work. One of the important things is the communication services that we are providing through our satellites. It becomes a backbone of most of the communication network, the backhaul services for mobile connectivity, the VPN networks, the ATM services, etc., and also the television broadcasts that we have today. It's all from the satellites. Of course, then we have the remote sensing satellites, which does the survey of the resources that we have in terms of water, land, forestry, agriculture, rivers, our survey records, the land records, the mineral wealth, and our coastal side, the oceans. All of these are surveyed and catalogued. Our glaciers, our hills, our islands. I think all these are recorded only because of space capability. We also work with the departments to do a lot of survey. For example, how much forest fire, how much forest can be reclaimed, how much agriculture land, dried land can be converted to agricultural land, how to find groundwater in places where groundwater is prospecting is not feasible. I think these type of things we do. We also look at the crops. We look at crop forecasting and predict the yield of crops through the working with our agriculture department, and then make predictions so as to help the government to decide on import, export, costing, pricing, all those type of things. We look at lands which can be cultivated for new forms of agriculture, which are the best lands, which you can arid lands that can be converted. I think a lot of work we do to support the decision makers, the economy, and there are other elements like the surveillance requirements, border security, the navigation timing services, the safety of fishermen, etc. There are so many other services that we provide through space-based systems.
There are also, one thought, a section of people in India who also believe that, there's no point in spending so much money on such space programs when there are other pressing issues like poverty, unemployment, and many things. And including, the spiritual side of it, scientists going to temples before the launch, all that. So a lot has been talked about it, but if you can quickly tell me, does all these thought processes bother you, or is it okay for people to think that way as well?
See, today I don't think that anybody thinks that spending money in space is luxury. I think that time was long back, when Sarabhai's time, or maybe in the early part of it. Today people have seen the benefit of it. And also we know that India is one of the nations who spends very less money in space and has produced so much of outcome out of it. Look at the 50 odd satellites that we have and the annual budget that we have. It is the budget is only hardly less than 0.5% of our ISRO budget. Space budget is hardly 0.5% of our annual budget. And India is also aspiring nation to become third largest economy of the world. Look at it. And we cannot afford to be lagging behind in space technology. It is one of the leading capability of a nation to handle the geopolitical and other economic resources in the country in an effective manner. And we can't afford to be behind anybody. So the investment in space is going to be very important. And what we are doing it is actually very less in terms of the public funding. But now the government looks at this funding to come more from private area also. Of course, public funding also will grow in wherever there is a need. Now, that aspect is not very important today. I think everybody is convinced about our frugal way of engineering, our cost-effective way of doing things, and the benefit that has come. I think this need to be narrated more clearly to those who are having still an opposition or objection to it.
So who needs to narrate this?
That's why you people are there listening, talking to me, I believe.
Right, okay.
And once you understand this, possibly you will be able to write it and tell people in a better manner. And we need to come out with figures and facts also, not simply telling high-fine sounding words. One of the point that I must tell you, for every rupee spent, the benefit could be at least multiples of that.
Right.
This has already been done by a systematic study of the data that has been done a few years back. And we are now trying to ask some of the people who have a ability to do statistical studies of the benefit of space technology and space act in India to come out. I think this will happen soon. The second aspect you mentioned is about the personal life of people and connecting them to an official life. I think this is also not warranted. See, every human being who lives
I'm not asking it, it's been.
That's okay. If you are not convinced, don't ask that question. But if you think that question doesn't require an answer, then it is okay.
No, what is seen is what people talk, right?
That's okay. Then what I think here is, see, the issues of spirituality, the personal likes and dislikes are one aspect
I'm
of
okay with it. Even I'm a spiritual guy, so
So who has any problem?
I don't have any problem, but generally people talk,
So it is their problem, not our problem. See, as long as it is not our problem, we don't have to worry about it. So one thing which I would like to tell you in this case is that you look at what we are achieving, what we are doing. Are we not doing our official technical work properly? And we are not producing results that are required.
So you mean to say that don't focus on what we're doing outside thing, because we also have a private life.
It's not private.
We also have an.
Everybody has their life and likes and dislikes and beliefs and disbeliefs. I think they are free to do that in this country. But as far as the tasks at hand are involved, that is done properly or not. That's the only question that we need to worry about.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure talking to you, Dr. Somanath.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the engagement that we had on this interview, or different type of questions. And I know that you have been in this Tarmak and as a Right Take forum that now inaugurated is going to reach out to a lot of people, and the type of work that you have been doing with the defense has been well known. So now we are talking about space. I believe that will really help people to take note and to inspire, and our job has been to work in this sector and create a good inspirational story for young people to follow. Also to look at what type of benefits that are coming for the public spending that we do in space for our countrymen to realize, and also support us in the greater ventures that are going to wait for us in the future. Thank you.
That was Dr. Somanath. There are many such inspiring stories we will get you through Right Take. Do remember to subscribe to Tarmak Media House. Do remember to pin the tricolor to your heart. Thank you. Jai Hind. So I hope everyone liked this interview. We are just showing some clips now of making of this film. Let me just share some interesting points. We shot this on February 19th, and this project work started. The team started thinking of how to do it, where to do it, some 1 month back, mid of January. And those who are following me closely know that last 1.5 years I was going through strange time for me, because health-wise, frozen shoulder, it affected either the low back issues. So it literally grounded me, and this is some kind of a resurrection of sort, this program, because when I shot this, to be honest, I was in the middle of a treatment. I had to take a break and come to Bangalore. I'll be going back now for the continuing my treatments. So I wasn't really fit, but being with a great man like Somanath, and his aura, his simplicity, his love for creativity, and his ease at which he handled the questions. And in fact, I was quite surprised. There are some people whom, when we interview, they would want to know the questions in advance. There are many people who are told, let's avoid this. But he wasn't bothered at all. He was so confident about what he has to answer. And because I just told him that, this is not a please all interview. The questions were really, really well researched. And I must also tell you that don't give me any credit, because there are a lot of people, who chipped in, who contributed to the research team. There are, ISRO scientists, there are senior Air Force officials, there are journalists who follow space. There are many other people who know about India's space program. So I was very, very keen to prepare questions that were different. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was, very, very, very close engagement. In fact, our director of the program, Abhijit, was telling that, he was, he didn't wanted to intervene and cut, say, it was so much engaging. In fact, there was one interesting thing, one leaf fell on Dr. Somanath's t-shirt. And ideally, you should stop the shoot and retake it. So the director continued it, because it was a very, 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 very intense kind of a conversation. And the English interview, there was a Malayalam interview also. I'm sure you would have seen it. That was, of course, on the lighter side, the unknown Somnath. 95% of the questions in Malayalam. My first attempt in Malayalam, that focused on his personal side, and whereas this one, what you just saw, was absolutely technical. So I hope all of you enjoyed this. It was a great experience, 30-member crew, tons of equipment, and Mango Mist Resort. Amazing place to come, and you guys should visit that place. They were the location partners. We had great experience and great learning being with Somnath. Very humble, down-to-earth man. And we will get you through this Right Take series, interesting interviews from a spectrum of thought leaders and inspiring people in India, not just aerospace and defense. Small appeal to people, to the corporate houses, individuals who are capable of supporting such programs, because we are definitely looking for sponsors, we're definitely looking for people to support us. You can write to me, you can also message me on this number, which is given here, only messages through WhatsApp. So that we can concentrate on more such programs, and we will get you such inspiring stories. Thank you so much. I hope you guys really enjoyed this interview. Please do share this interview with youngsters, with school children, with principals, headmasters, with students, every forum. And I must also thank his family and friends who really chipped in to make, in fact, in the Malayalam interview with English subtitles, if you watch it, a lot of contributions have come there from the family and friends. Keep supporting Tarmak. Without you, it's very difficult. Without your support, it's very difficult to go forward. Keep sending your ideas. Tarmak Media House will definitely get you stories that are different. Thank you. Jai Hind.
My name is Ryan Upadhyay. Today I am going to speak about my famous scientist and President of India, our beloved APJ Abdul Kalam Sir. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Sir was a famous aerospace scientist and was born in a small town in Tamil Nadu, Rameswaram, in 1931 in a poor family, but with his hard work and dedication, he worked in ISRO, DRDO, and became the 11th President of India. He was also known as the Missile Man of India. Now, with his wishing, he India became the fourth country to land on the entire moon, and the first country to land on the moon's south pole amongst 195 countries. Now I'm going to talk about Chandrayaan 3 model. The Chandrayaan 3 model consists of the propulsion module, the satellite, the lander Vikram, and the rover Pragyan. The propulsion module. The propulsion module consists of the satellite, the lander Vikram, and the rover Pragyan. 2. Satellite. It is ditched with the lander Vikram, and it breaks off with the lander Vikram and make the lander land safely and go back to its orbit. 3. The lander. It soft lands on the moon and leaves the rover there on its bridge. 4. The rover Pragyan. The rover Pragyan is a 6-wheeled vehicle, and it gives us info about lander, about the moon's surface, ice, water, and whether there is atmosphere all around the moon. APJ Abdul Kalam is my role model, and I want to become a famous aerospace scientist like him and make my country proud. Jai Hind!